Hello and welcome. We are on page number 50 of chapter number 6. We have to start with the paragraph ITC reversal when return of time expired medicine, drugs are treated as a fresh supply. Now, in pharmaceutical sector, which deal with drugs or medicines, the manufacturer will sell the product to the wholesaler will sell the product to the retailer, and on the basis of invoice or bill of supply will be issued. So, if the retailer is a composition, if the wholesaler is a composition dealer, he will give the bill of supply. If he is a registered person, he will give the invoice. So what will happen is the manufacturer will sell the product to the distributor, distributor to wholesaler, wholesaler to retailer, and everyone will issue the tax invoice or the bill of supply as the case may be. Right? Now, these medicines or drugs, the drugs or medicines will have a expiry date. Will have an expiry date. Suppose there are certain medicines which have expired. There are some medicines which have expired. So the certain medicines are left over with the retailer which have expired. What he will do, he will return it back to the wholesaler. Wholesaler will return it back to the distributor. Distributor will return it back to the manufacturer. Sometimes some stock of medicines or drugs may be left out with the wholesaler himself. Then he will return to the distributor. Distributor in turn returns to the manufacturer. Sometimes the stock of expired medicines may be left with the distributor himself. He will return it back to the manufacturer. So this is the procedure which commonly happens in this pharmaceutical industry. Now we are going to deal with the ITC on the expired medicines. Expired medicines or drugs. Sometimes what may happen is this fellow may return to him. This fellow will issue credit note. Okay. So based on the credit note, this fellow may have to reverse. This fellow will again return back to the distributor. Distributor may raise a credit note. This fellow may return back. This fellow may raise a credit note. But there is an alternative procedure which has been prescribed by circular number 72 dated 26th January 2018. Now it has been clarified that the retailer or wholesaler can return the time expired goods either by treating the same as a fresh supply or by issuing of credit notes Now the procedure for return of time expired drugs or medicines by issuing credit note is covered in chapter number 8, tax invoice, credit, debit notes, e-way bills. So in chapter 8, the credit note concept was discussed. Is discussed. So what they can do, they can issue a credit note, or they may treat it as a fresh supply. Fresh supply. Fresh supply in the sense the retailer will supply the expired medicines to the wholesaler. Wholesaler in turn will supply to the distributor. Distributor will in turn supply to the manufacturer. Okay. Now suppose In case the person returning the time expired goods is a registered person, this retailer is a registered person, then what he can do at his option, he can treat this as a fresh supply and he can issue an invoice. He can issue an invoice to the wholesaler. Now, the value which is shown in this invoice will be the basis on which the goods were supplied earlier may be taken as the value of such supply. Now, how much value you will write here? You may write here that value which is contained in the invoice at the time of purchase. Actually, these expired medicines have been procured by the retailer from the wholesaler. At that time, this invoice was issued. In this invoice, this 1000 was written. Now, this 1000, the stock of medicines relating to this invoice of 1000, the entire invoice stock was lying still and got expired. So, now here also the value can be taken as 1000. Okay. Now what will happen? Let us say the rate of GST is 12%, then 120. So this fellow will collect 120 from the wholesaler and pay to the government, but he need not reverse this 120. He need not reverse this 120 input credit which has been availed by him. Okay. Right. Next. The wholesaler or manufacturer, as the case may be, who is the recipient of such a return supply shall be eligible to avail ITC of tax levied on the said return supply subject to the fulfillment of the conditions specified in section 16. So this 120 rupees which has been charged by this fellow can be claimed as input tax credit by the wholesaler. Okay. Suppose the person who is returning the time expired goods is a composition taxpayer. Then he can issue bill of supply, because he can't issue tax invoice, he can issue bill of supply and he will pay tax at the rate applicable to the composition taxpayer. Now, what will happen is, previously when the reverse supply is made, this 120 charged by this fellow which is paid to the government is claimed as input tax credit by this fellow. Now, if this fellow happens to be a composition dealer, he can issue only bill of supply. This fellow will pay quarterly tax at a prescribed percentage to the government. Now, this a composition dealer cannot pass on the credit, therefore this fellow can't take ITC in respect of procurement from the composition dealer. That's what has been provided. Right? Next. Where goods are returned by the retailer or wholesaler as a fresh supply, are destroyed by the manufacturer, then he is required to reverse the ITC availed on return supply in terms of section 17 subsection 5. And also here we should mention that the ITC which is required to be reversed in such scenario is the ITC availed on the return supply and not the ITC that is attributable to the manufacturer of such time expired goods. What will happen is, if this fellow is a registered person, he will issue invoice. This fellow will take input credit. Again, this fellow will issue invoice to this fellow. This fellow can also take input credit. This fellow will issue an invoice to the manufacturer. This fellow will also take 120. But after the goods are received by the manufacturer, this fellow will destroy the goods. Will destroy the goods. So at the time of destroying of the goods, the input credit availed on reverse supply shall be reversed. Shall be reversed. But he need not reverse the ITC on inputs availed at the time of manufacture. This can't be, this need not be reversed. But what is to be reversed? The reverse supply is there. In that reverse supply, an ITC of 120 is charged. This amount has been paid to the distributor. But what happened is this fellow will take this, he will later destroy it. When he destroys it, he has to reverse this one. But he need not reverse the original input tax credit that has been availed at the time of manufacture. So this has been clarified by the circular, and also this clarification is applicable to return goods for reasons other than time expired also. So under normal circumstances also, instead of good sales returns and issue of credit note by the supplier, you can go for this reverse supply method also, wherein the recipient of the supply will issue invoice in a reverse mode, and he will charge the GST, and the original supplier will take the input tax credit. So this procedure can be adopted, and this is clarified by way of an circular. Now we can understand this in a better manner through this illustration. There is a manufacturer who has availed ITC of 10 at the time of manufacture of medicines, and the value of the medicines manufactured was 100. Now, at the time of return of such medicines on account of expiry, the ITC available to the manufacturer on basis of fresh invoice issued by the wholesaler is 50. So, when the expired medicines are returned back, there was an invoice to that effect, and the ITC is 15. He will take that 15. But after 1 month, he has destroyed the expired goods. Now, at the time of destroying, what he has to do, he has to reverse this 15 rupees, but not the 10 rupees which was the proportionate input at the time of manufacture. Now, tax paid in fraud cases, detention, classification, etc. Where any tax has been paid under section 74 or section 129 or section 130. Actually, these 74, 129, 130 sections will be discussed at a final level. Now, what does these provisions relate to? These provisions relate to taxes paid on account of evasion of taxes, detention of goods or conveyance in transit, or towards redemption of confiscated goods or conveyances. Now, if the tax has been paid under these circumstances, that tax can't be availed as input tax credit, and it is blocked as per provisions of 17 subsection 5 clause I. We will move on to the next topic, credit in special circumstances under section 18. Friends, we have gone through provisions of section 16, section 17. Section 16 is with regard to availment of input credit. Section 17 is with regard to restrictions, reversals on common credit and blocked credit. Now coming to section 18, section 18 deals with input tax credit in special circumstances. What are those special circumstances we will be learning in the next part of our discussion. And as usual, what we will be doing is, first we will go through the provision per se, thereafter we will go through the rule per se, and after we are through the specific provision and rule, we will go to our analysis part. We will go to our analysis part. So first let's start the provision section 18 subsection 1. What does 18 subsection 1 state? Subject to such conditions and restrictions as may be prescribed. Where it will be prescribed? It will be prescribed in rules. A person who has applied for registration under this act within 30 days from the date on which he becomes liable to registration and has been granted such registration shall be entitled to take credit of input in respect of inputs held in stock, input contained in semi-finished goods or finished goods held in stock on the date immediately preceding the date from which he becomes liable to pay tax under the provisions of this act. Very simple. On 1st of April, this fellow become liable to registration. Why he has become liable to registration? Because on 1st of or let us say it's not on 1st of April, let us say it is 1st of uh, 1st of uh, mm, 1st of May. 1st of May, this fellow becomes liable because he crossed the threshold. He crossed the threshold of 40 lakhs or 20 lakhs as the case may be, depending upon the state law also. So if he crosses the threshold on 1st of May, he becomes liable for registration. Within how many days he should get himself registered? From 30 days. Within 30 days. So by latest by 30th May 2020 he should register himself. If he follow this registration provision, that is register within 30 days from the date of becoming liable to registration, then the he will be entitled to input tax credit on the stock of inputs lying in his hand on 30th April 2020. Inputs lying in semi-finished goods, finished goods and capital goods. Okay. Of course, capital goods is not mentioned here. It may be mentioned in another subsection. So, inputs held in stock and inputs contained in semi-finished or finished goods held in stock on the day immediately preceding the date in which he become liable to the provision. So, as on 30th April 2001, because from 1st May he is liable to registration. So, goods lying with him as on 34 2020 he is eligible for input. The same will apply to a person who takes registration under 25 subsection 3. 25 subsection 3 is voluntary registration. Voluntary registration. So, for voluntary registration, he took voluntary registration on 1st of June 2020. So, as on 31st May 2020, what are all the goods which are lying in his input, semi-finished and finished goods on the grant of registration? He has been granted registration on 1st June 2020. So, one day before that, whatever stock is held, he can take ITC. Where any person ceases to pay tax under section 10 means composition dealer. Composition dealer. So you will be as a composition dealer only until a specific threshold limit. Now if that specific threshold limit is crossed, you have to become a regular dealer. You have to become a regular dealer. Now this has crossed. He can't continue as a composition dealer from 1st of August 2020. Then he is becoming a regular dealer. Now, in respect of inputs held in stock, inputs contained in semi-finished or finished good, on the day immediately preceding the day on which he becomes liable to pay tax under section 9. So from 1/8/2020 he should become a regular dealer. So stock as on 31st July 2020, ITC on stock as on 31st July 2020, he is liable to take input tax credit. Suppose there are capital goods, it shall be reduced by such percentage points as may be prescribed. This will be prescribed in the rules. So you are becoming a regular dealer from a composition dealer. So mind you, in point number A and B, there was no mention of capital goods. But as far as C is concerned, there is a mention of capital goods, that in respect of capital goods, certain points will be reduced and taken. Where an exempt supply of goods or service or both by a registered person becomes a taxable supply. So until 31st of July 2020, this fellow, whatever he is making is an exempt supply. So he is not eligible to take ITC on inputs. He paid tax, but he has not availed. But what happened is, from 1st of August 2020, these goods became taxable. So on inputs, he has paid GST. Now, stock of inputs as on 31st July 2020, on which he has paid GST, he is eligible for availing the input tax credit. On what? Held in stock, inputs contained in semi-finished or finished goods held in stock to such and on capital goods exclusively used for exempt supply on the day immediately preceding the date on which the supply becomes taxable. Because here, if it was used partly for taxable, partly for exempt, the input credit has already been taken and proportionate reversals are being done. So for capital goods which are exclusively for outward supply of exempt supply, he might not have taken it all. Now that only can be availed. And capital goods shall be reduced by such percentage points as may be prescribed. Okay. Now, so subsection 1 has a point A, B, C, and here what it has been said is, in point number A there is no capital goods. In point number 2 also there is no capital goods, but in point number 3 there is a capital good that you should carefully examine. Okay. Now coming to point number D, also there is capital goods. Now subsection 2. A registered person shall not be entitled to input tax credit under, now this here section 25. Okay, right. A registered person shall not be entitled to take input tax credit under subsection 1 in respect of any supply of goods or services or both after the expiry of 1 year from the date of issue of tax invoice. So date of tax invoice is very important, because if this happens to be 1st of April 2020 or 21, you can take suppose this is dated 1st of April 2019, then at the most within 1 year you have to avail the input tax credit. After the expiry of 1 year, you are not eligible to take the input tax credit on that invoice. Where there is a change in the constitution of a registered person on account of sale, merger, demerger, amalgamation, lease or transfer of business, with the specific provision for a transfer of liabilities, The said registered person shall be allowed to transfer the ITC which remains unutilized in his electronic credit ledger to such a sold, merged, demerged, amalgamated, leased or transferred business in such manner as may be prescribed. Suppose there is going to be an amalgamation. Because of amalgamation, X Limited is going to be merged with Y Limited. Now there is maybe ITC balance in X Limited. And the amalgamation provides for transfer of liabilities also. Now the ITC will also be transferred to Y Limited. Where any registered person has availed of ITC opts to pay tax under section 10 or or where the goods or services are both supplied by him becomes wholly exempt, he shall pay an amount by way of debit in electronic credit ledger or electronic cash ledger equivalent to the credit of input tax in respect of inputs held in stock and inputs contained in semi-finished or finished goods held in stock and on capital goods reduced by such percentage points as may be prescribed on the day immediately preceding the date of exercising of such option or the case may be the date of such exemption. What is happening is this fellow is a regular dealer. Now he want to convert to composition dealer. So while he was a regular dealer, he has already availed ITC. Now on 1st of April 2020, he want to become a composition dealer. Then what he has to do? He has to take this stock as on 31/3/2020. In this stock which is lying on 31/3/2020, whatever ITC is availed, this has to be reversed. And also in respect of capital goods, based upon certain basis, means 5% for every quarter. For every quarter has to be reversed. Has to be taken and the balance has to be reversed. The same procedure is to be applied where taxable goods are becoming exempt goods. Taxable goods are becoming exempt goods. The same procedure will apply. Now, even after payment of such amount, still there is a balance in the tax ledger, then such credit will elapse. So this fellow is becoming from a regular dealer to a composition dealer, or his taxable product is becoming an exempt product. In those cases, what has to be done is the ITC attributable to the stock lying as on the day immediately preceding the day on which the goods become exempt, or the day immediately preceding the day on which this fellow converted into a composition dealer, that has to be reversed. Even after reversal also there is some balance left over in the credit ledger, it has to be reversed. It will lapse. The amount of credit under subsection 1 and the amount of credit under subsection 4 shall be calculated in such manner as may be prescribed. Means the prescribed procedure will be given in the rules. In case of supply of capital goods or plant and machinery on which ITC has been availed and this is being sold. Suppose there is a machinery. At the time of purchase, some 1 lakh has been taken as input tax credit. Now what is happening is this machinery is being sold. This machinery is being sold. Okay. Then what will happen? Then this fellow has to reverse, or first of all, he has to pay on the amount equivalent to the input tax credit taken on such capital goods, reduced by such a percentage points as may be prescribed. So what he has to do? He has taken availed 1 lakh credit. Now what he has to do is, now he has to calculate the amount of reversal. The amount of reversal is based upon certain percentage points, 5 percentage per quarter. So 5 percentage per quarter from the date of invoice you have to take. That will be allowed to be taken and the balance has to be reversed. Or tax on transaction value of such goods as determined under section 15, whichever is higher. So you have to calculate the reversal amount and you have to take the transaction value. Whichever is higher will be the amount that has to be paid. But however, refractory bricks, molds, dies, jigs and fixtures are supplied as scrap, the taxable person may pay tax on the transaction value. So only transaction value is to be, because refractory bricks, molds, dies, jigs, fixtures are also capital goods. They might have taken the input tax credit, but certain factories will have many number of molds, dies, jigs, etc., wherein they will not be able to identify the uh, amount that has to be reversed. So in these cases, they can take only the transaction value. If it is sold for 5,000, you have to pay tax only on that 5,000, but you need not go for the amount of ITC which has been received, taken, when it has been taken, and 5 percentage per quarter. You need not calculate all those things in respect of refractory bricks, molds, dies, jigs, and fixtures. Now, we'll come to the rules part of it. Rule 40. Manner of claiming credit in special circumstances. Now, section 18 is the provision and section 40 is the rule. In 18, at places, we found out that to take the credit or to reverse the credit, it has to be done in the prescribed manner. The prescribed manner is given in the rules. Rule number 40. What does it state? It states that the input tax credit claimed in accordance with section 18 subsection 1 on the inputs held in stock or inputs contained in semi-finished or finished goods held in stock, or the credit claimed on capital goods in accordance with the provision of clause C and D of the said subsection shall be subjected to the following conditions. So, the capital good credit is available only in respect of clause C and D, but it is not applicable to 18.1 clause A and B. 18.1 clause A is you are taking the fresh registration. 18B 18.1B is you are taking voluntary registration. 18.1A is where you are required to get yourself registered and you are doing the registration within a period of 30 days. 18.1B is you are taking voluntary registration. For 18.1A and 1B, only you will get the ITC of stock on inputs contained in semi-finished and finished goods. But as far as point number C and D are concerned, capital goods is also available. As far as point number C and D are concerned, capital goods are also available. Means C is with regard to a composition dealer becoming a regular dealer. D is with relation to an exempted supply is becoming a taxable supply. The input tax credit on capital goods in terms of classes C and D of section 18 shall be claimed after reducing the tax paid on such capital goods by 5 percentage points per quarter or part thereof from the date of invoice or such other document on which capital goods were received. Let us say the capital good is received, the invoice date for the capital good is 1/4/2018. From 1/4/2020, the supply made this fellow is going to be taxable supply. So the invoice date is 1/4/18. The total input tax credit availed is 1 lakh. The total input tax credit availed is 1 lakh. So how many quarters are there? In 1819 there are 4 quarters. In 1920 there are 4 quarters. So 8 quarters. 8 quarters into 5 means 40. So 40% will be reduced. So what is 40%? 40,000. So balance input credit what you can take? 60,000 input you can take. Okay. Next. The registered person shall within a period of 30 days from the date of becoming eligible to avail the input tax credit under 18(1) or such a further period as may be extended by the Commissioner shall make a declaration in GST ITC 1. Extension of time limit can be made by the Commissioner of State Tax or Commissioner of the Union Territory, and it shall be deemed to be notified by the Commissioner. The declaration under clause B shall clearly specify the details relating to inputs held in stock or inputs contained in semi-finished or finished goods held in stock, or as the case may be capital goods. On the day immediately preceding he becomes liable under 18(1)(a), day immediately before 18(1)(b) date, or in respect of from composition dealer to regular dealer, day immediately preceding the day on which he is liable to pay tax under 9. Okay. And in respect of 18(1)(d), that is the exempt goods are becoming taxable goods. Day immediately preceding the day on which becomes taxable. If the goods are becoming taxable from 1/4/2020 means on 31st March 2020, whatever is the stock is there, on that stock input tax credit will be available. Now, the details furnished in declaration under B means the ITC form number 1, GST ITC 1, GST ITC 01 is the form to be, this is to be done within 30 days from the date of availment. Now, shall be certified by the practicing chartered accountant if the claim on account of CGST, SGST, UTGST, IGST exceeds 2 lakhs. So, total claim is exceeding 2 lakhs. Then a CA certificate is necessary. The input has been claimed in accordance with C, D of subsection 1. Means the composition becoming regular or the exempt is becoming taxable, shall be verified with the corresponding details furnished by the supplier in form GSTR 1 or GSTR 4 on common portal. Okay, so this fellow has made the claim, but what has to be done is, whether the claim done is correct or not, this fellow has claimed that in a particular invoice some 10,000 is available as credit, this fellow claimed. How did this fellow get the invoice? From the supplier. Now you have to check the supplier GSTR 1. whether this claim is correct or not, you have to check the supplier GSTR 1. The amount of credit in case of supply of capital goods or plant and machinery for the purpose of 18 subsection 6 means plant and machinery or capital good on which you have availed ITC, now you are selling it. Then what you have to do? You have to reverse the ITC based upon certain percentage points or transaction value, whichever is higher. Now for that, this has to be calculated by reducing the input on the said goods at 5 percentage points for every quarter or part thereof. Now let us say there is a plant and machinery on which 1 lakh is availed as credit. Okay, that is on 1/4/2017. Now it is he is selling this on 1/4/2018. Let's take this 1/4/2020. He is selling that plant and machinery for let us say the percentage was 10%. So 1 crore is the machinery. 1 crore, 1 crore, not 1 crore. 10 lakhs is the machinery. Okay, so 10% is 1 lakh. Now he has availed 1 lakh as credit. Now on 1/4/20, this fellow is selling this machinery for 3 lakhs. Now what is the amount of credit that is required to be reversed? First what you have to take is, you have to arrive at the ITC availed which has to be reversed. For that, how many quarters have elapsed? 8 quarters. 5% is each 40,000. So how much you have to reverse? 60,000. Or what is the transaction value now? 3 lakhs. 10% of 3 lakh is 30,000. So 30,000 or 60,000, whichever is high, is to be reversed. So here 60,000 is to be reversed. Now if the machinery is sold for 8 lakhs, 8 into 10% is 80,000. So the tax on transaction value is 80,000. The ITC reversal is 60,000, whichever is high. Now 80,000 is to be the amount of reversal. Transfer of credit on sale, merger, amalgamation, lease, transfer of business as per rule number 41. Now, if any of these events occur or arise, then GSTR ITC 2 has to be filed. Okay, the input now and on the common portal with a request for a transfer of the utilized input to the transferee. Who has to file this? The transferor has to file this. Who has to file this? Transferor has to file ITC 02. In case of demerger, input tax credit shall be apportioned in the ratio of value of the assets of new units as specified in the demerger scheme. Value of assets means the value of the entire assets of the business, whether or not ITC has been availed or not, is to be taken. Also, transfer will submit a copy of a certificate issued by a chartered accountant or a cost accountant certifying that a sale, merger, demerger or transfer of business has been done with a specific provision for a transfer of liabilities. Now what the transferee has to do? The transferee should on the common portal accept the furnished details, and upon such acceptance, the unutilized credit specified in ITC 2 which has been filed by the transferor will be get credited to the electronic credit ledger of the transferee. Now the transferee has to account for in his books of accounts. Okay. Next comes rule number 41. Next comes rule number 41A. What does rule number 41A provide for? It will provide for transfer of credit on obtaining separate registrations for multiple business within a same state. Now let us say X Limited is in Andhra Pradesh. It has 10 places of businesses in Andhra Pradesh. Previously, what it has done is, it has took single registration for all the units in Andhra Pradesh. It has took single registration for all the units in Andhra Pradesh. Now what is happening is, it want to take multiple registrations for these 10 places. Now previously the ITC is with the single registration. Now you have to apportion between all these 10 places. How it has to be done? A registered person who has obtained separate registration for multiple places in accordance with the provisions of rule number 11 and intends to transfer either whole or part of unutilized input tax credit to the newly registered places within a period of 30 days from obtaining separate registration, he has to file ITC 2A. He has to file ITC 2A. However, he has to file on the common portal. The input tax rate shall be transferred to the newly registered entities in the ratio of value of assets held by them at the time of registration. What do you mean by value of the assets? Means the value of entire assets of the business, whether or not ITC is availed or not. The transferee, what it has to do, has to accept the details so furnished by the registered person, and upon the acceptance, the unutilized input which has been specified in ITC 2A by the transferor will be credited to the electronic credit ledger of the transferee. Okay. Manner of reversal of credit under special circumstances. The amount of input credit held in stock, held in semi-finished goods and finished goods and capital goods for the purpose of section 18 subsection 4 means this fellow is becoming from a regular dealer to a composition dealer. Previously we dealt with a case where composition dealer became a regular dealer, thereby he took the ITC. Now regular dealer is becoming a composition dealer, now he has to reverse the ITC. Or 29 subsection 5. 29 subsection 5 is cancellation of registration. Cancellation of registration is 29 subsection 5. Now, what he has to do? For inputs held in stock, inputs contained in semi-finished, finished goods held in stock, input tax credit shall be calculated proportionately on the basis of corresponding invoice on which credit has been availed by the registered taxable person on such inputs. Also, for capital goods, the input tax credit involved in remaining life in months shall be computed on a pro rata basis, taking the useful life as 5 years. Previously, it was 5 percentage points for every quarter or part thereof there. But when 18.4 strike or 29.5 strike, here remaining useful life is to be reversed. Remaining useful life is to be reversed. Here what you have to take, life has 5 years you have to take. Okay. Remaining useful life in months proportionate you have to reverse. That too when you are cancelling the registration or you are becoming a composition from regular person. The amount specified in sub-rule 1 shall be determined separately for CGST, SGST, UTGST and IGST. We already know that. Where the tax invoice related to the inputs held in stock are not available, the registered person shall estimate the amount under sub-rule 1 based upon the prevailing market price of the goods on effective date of occurrence of 18(4), that is becoming a composition dealer from regular dealer, or cancellation of registration. If you are unable to ascertain the input tax credit which you have availed and the invoices are not available, then for the stock lying on the day immediately before the date you become a composition dealer, or the day immediately before the date of your effective date of cancellation, on that date what you have to do is you ascertain the market value. On that market value you calculate the tax that you reverse. The amount determined under sub-rule 1 shall form part of the output tax liability of the registered person, and the details of such amount will be furnished in ITC 3 for 18 subsection 4 and GSTR 10 for cancellation, that is 29(5). Okay. The details furnished in sub-rule 3 shall duly be certified by the practicing. Here there is no limit of 2 lakhs. Here, because previously for availing there was a limit of 2 lakhs, but here there is no limit. The amount of input tax credit for the purpose of section 18(6) relating to capital goods shall be determined in the same manner as specified in clause B of sub-rule 1, and the amount shall be determined separately for input tax credit of central tax, state tax, union territory and IGST. 18 subsection 6. 18 subsection 6. What is 18 subsection 6 with relate to capital goods? Here the capital goods have been sold. In case of supply of capital goods or plant and machinery on which ITC has been taken, the registered person shall pay an amount equal to the ITC taken on the said capital goods, reduced by such percentage points as prescribed, or tax on transaction value of such capital goods, plant and machinery determined in accordance with section 15. Okay. Here we learned an example by making it as 5% quarterly. But what the rule actually prescribes is, the amount of ITC in sub-rule 6 of 18 means plant and machinery is sold per se, is determined in the same manner as prescribed in clause 1b of sub-rule 1. Sub-rule 1b. Here what it is saying, the remaining useful life in months computed on pro rata basis, taking the useful life as 5 years. In this manner you have to calculate. This is the prescribed percentage for sale of capital good. It is not 5%. 5% is for other purposes. But if you are selling a capital good, then what is to be reversed is take the life as 5 years and the remaining months proportionate amount has to be reversed. Okay. So, where the amount so determined is more than the tax determined on transaction value, the amount determined shall form part of output tax liability and shall be furnished in GSTR 1, because the other person will take the input tax credit. Okay. Now we will come to the analysis part. What does section 18 subsection 1 provide for? You will be entitled to input tax credit if you are making a compulsory registration, you are making a voluntary registration, and you are becoming a regular taxpayer from composition taxpayer, and till now whatever supply is made by you is exempt, now it is becoming taxable. Then you will take the ITC. You are making compulsory registration, you are making voluntary registration, you are becoming a regular taxpayer from the composition taxpayer, and your goods are becoming taxable from exempt. These four cases you will get ITC. In some cases you have to reverse the ITC. When inputs in stock, work in progress or capital goods, you are becoming a composition person from a regular person. Till now your supply is taxable, now it is becoming exempt. Then you have to make a reversal. You are selling the capital goods or plant and machinery on which you have taken the ITC. Reversal is to be done. Suppose there is a change in constitution, transfer of ITC will be done. All these points have been dealt by section 18. Sometimes you have to reverse, sometimes you have to take, sometimes you have to transfer your credit to the other person. Next. Now you will become entitled to ITC at the time of registration or voluntary registration or switching to regular taxpayer from composition taxpayer. It has been dealt by 18.1, 18.2, read with rule 40. Now what are you going to get? Credit on inputs held in stock, semi-finished goods, finished goods or capital goods. But capital goods in all times you won't get, you will get only in some certain circumstances. Okay. Now, person eligible to take the input tax credit. Person who have applied registration within 30 days. Now we are into analysis part. All the provision rule we went through. At the time of going through the provision and rule, we discussed some issues. Again, we will come to the analysis part given in the study material. It will act as a revision for us. And also you will get some better understanding of the provision and the rule. Person who has applied registration within 30 days from the date on which he becomes eligible to registration and has been granted registration, what he can take? Inputs held in stock, inputs in semi-finished goods or finished goods held in stock on the day immediately preceding the day on which he becomes liable to pay tax. So the invoice date is there. From that invoice date, within 1 year you have to take the input tax credit. Mind you, here there is no capital good. There is no capital good. Now, person is not required to register but obtain the registration voluntarily. Then what he can take? Only inputs. Here also only inputs. Capital goods is not there. Inputs held in stock contained in semi-finished goods or finished goods held as stock in trade on which date immediately preceding the date of registration. Okay. Within 1 year, he has to take the input credit. Okay. Next comes third point. Friends, I am stressing this point time and again, that in point number 1 and point number 2 there is no capital goods, but coming to point number 3 there is capital goods. That you should understand and make a difference. So friends, what we'll do is we'll continue in our next session.